Let's see if this works. Hmm? Yeah, okay, where's this window? XU, XU, XU. Chat up here. What is this? That's not the right window. That's the right window. Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. So there was somebody who posted a link in the Discord to this interesting article on Apple's self-repair program, and I thought it'd be just kind of fun to go through these. You know, I went through the Verges, I went through Good Morning Americas, and now this just seems to be some random individual that has a few thousand followers, and I just thought it would be fun to just give my perspective on all these particular articles as they come out in real time. So I'm going to put this on the screen for a little bit, and then we'll read it. You get the email about BD Medical condemning third-party repair. I get so many freaking emails, so I don't know. Let's see. Probably not. I'm going to assume no. Probably not. Let's see. I'm going to search for the word medical. BD condemns third-party pumps. Okay, there. This email was from 3 weeks ago, but this email was... Okay, this was put in the read later because it was about a page long. Sorry. This I do have it. This is in my read later pile. I'll put a star on it so it's higher in the read later pile. But yeah, I don't know much about medical things, so. I have a Missouri State Senate candidate we're willing to speak to you about right to repair. Cool. I guess email, but my email inbox is kind of a mess at the moment. Lewis@fighttorepair.org, or talk to Nathan Proctor at USPIRG. Well, I do have a lobbyist that I have in the state of Missouri right now, Ryan Roden. They do actually doing some really good work. It's just I'm mostly like, this is gonna sound so like such a dick thing to say. I don't mean it that way, but like I'm focusing on the people that have already been elected because they're the people that actually get to decide whether this becomes law, more so than candidates. But yeah, I mean I'm happy to have an email back and forth. But until they're elected, there is not really much that I can. There's not much I think that I can get shaking from that. But yeah, Lewis@fighttorepair.org. Why not? Let's see. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so what I was going to do is I was going to read through this article. And yeah, my email is, since I make my email public, if, I don't mean this is no disrespect, JD, but if an email looks like it's like 2 or 3 pages about something I don't know, it just put into like a read later pile. Like you got to start with the TLDR because that inbox gets like 200 or 300 emails a day. So like it's best to start with the TLDR. I'll just give you that advice. So because the TLDR ones I'll look into more, but the non-TLDR ones it's like this is 3 pages about medical equipment. I don't know. Anyway. Let's get into this. So this article says Apple just proved that right to repair isn't always right, and if this wasn't predictable, I don't know what was. But do activists want to listen? Well, Michael, now is not the time for me to talk to a state senator, but I appreciate it. But again, you have my email, so that when it is the time to have that conversation, yeah, I'm happy to talk to him. But after this, I can't talk to him right now, though. But yeah, it says, do send me an email, and we'll get to that. Vehement activism. That's what bothers me. On the surface, every idea has merit, but is there actual debate? On either side? No, not really. Since the beginning of right to repair, both sides kept screaming their right, citing the customer's rights and well-being. But here's the thing about rights. Not all of them are necessarily good for you. You have the right to eat 10 ice creams a day, but is it good for you? Most definitely not. The problem with right to repair on both sides of the conversation is that neither side takes a pragmatic and level-headed look at it. And guess what? Apple, of all companies, exposed that. So there's many different ways that we can start here. The problem with right to repair is they don't take a pragmatic and level-headed look. I think what I suggest is fairly pragmatic and level-headed. Don't tell the company that makes the chip that I use for board repairs that they can't sell that chip to me if I wish to buy it. Don't go out of your way to require pairing so that a device has to be paired with a manufacturer tool in order for that part to actually work again. Allow us to get access to a PDF or a board view file so that we can fix the boards that we fix rather than have to deal with stolen stuff off of a USB drive somewhere in China. I don't think that the stuff that we're asking for is particularly unreasonable. I think it's very reasonable. And I think the way that you can demonstrate that this is reasonable is that in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, this was all standard. It's only been disappearing over my generation. And I don't know what he means when he says they expose something. But further, when they say that, just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean it is good for you. Again, I want you to understand what perspective is being... I want you to understand the perspective that they're coming from here, which is, it sounds to me like just because you can have the choice to do something doesn't mean it is good for you. But there's a few ways to come at this. Eating ice cream... Let's say eating 10 ice creams a day, that's always 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, that's kind of a bad outcome for you. So for instance, I've lost about 28 pounds since over the past about year and a half. I don't think that I would look the way that I do right now if I ate 10 ice creams a day. There's no way that I could eat 10 ice creams a day and be in the shape that I'm in right now. That just would not happen. If anything, I probably would have gained 28 pounds rather than lose it. However, repair can go many different ways. So if you're fixing your own device or you're fixing somebody else's, you could have a good outcome if you're knowledgeable. You could have a bad outcome if you're careless or not knowledgeable. There's many different ways that can go. But immediately right out the gate, where we have this ridiculous comparison where you have the right to eat 10 ice creams a day, but is it good for you? Most certainly not. Obviously, that's not good for you. But that really doesn't have anything to do with fixing something. Again, there are many different ways that fixing something can go. There's really only one way that eating 10 ice creams a day can go. I just think that that's an insane comparison. But let's continue. Whether it's intentional or not, Apple managed to expose a gaping hole in the topic that has probably been more in mainstream media than Will slapping Chris. Right to repair. Exposing it works neither in their favor nor against them, and I guess that's good news for Apple. For the customer, there is no good news. Not in this story, and it clearly illustrates how often, with the best of intentions, a short-sighted fight against the establishment can backfire in ways most didn't expect. Apple just recently released their self-service repair program, which on the surface appears to satisfy at least one of the goals of right to repair: remove Apple as much as possible from the repair process and allow the customer or a handy enough friend, neighbor, or village priest to repair their iPhone. So one of the things that I think is implied here is that right to repair people got what they wanted. Because he said, again, after fighting the establishment, it backfired in a way that you didn't expect. They released their self-service repair program, which on the surface appears to satisfy at least one goal. It actually doesn't satisfy that goal at all. And what I've talked about in many of the videos that I've done on this channel, and particularly the most recent one I did, where I went over Apple's self-service repair program, one of the things that I said in this video, let me just show it, so if you wanted to follow along, you could. That video is this one over here. Come on, you can load faster than that. There we go. So this video over here, I go over this program. And one of the things that I went over in this program is you don't get access to shit. You can't get a schematic. You can't get a board view. You can't get most parts to a MacBook. And when you will be able to get parts to MacBooks, you're not getting access to, you're not going to be getting access to the LCD cell by itself, or the keyboard by itself. You're going to get access to a top case or a bottom case. You're going to get access to something that's really, really expensive that has a lot of parts that you don't need. You're not going to get a schematic or a board view. Like, just get out of here. That's never happening. And when it comes to the iPhone, you don't get the power button. You don't get the volume flex. You don't get the charging port. If you have an iPhone 10 or 8 or 7, you don't get any parts. This program really doesn't give you access to much of anything. For one or two phones, you get access to a screen and a battery at damn near what the cost would be to have Apple do the service for you. So I think it's really important to just step back for a moment when they say they won and they got what they want, and now that's proof that it's a bad thing, is that we never actually got what we were asking for. One moment. There's a bunch of jingling noise over there. I don't know where all the jingling is coming from. What article are we discussing today? Here, I'll give you a link. In the chat, there is a link. Sounds good on paper, right? There's a Romanian saying theory is theory, but practice might kill you. Or in this case, might kill your phone. The number of videos appearing on the web about people attempting the repair with Apple's own kit is growing by the minute. And guess what? While the Apple repair kit is a fantastic value for the money, $1,300 if you want to buy and keep it from any future repairs, as a regular customer when you rent it, those $1,300 will be blocked on your card until you return the kit. Let me ask you, how many customers can afford just randomly having $1,300 frozen on their cars? I mean, well, firstly, they bought a $1,000 phone, so I think you're saying that about the wrong group of customers. But that's the cost of a 13-inch MacBook Pro, not to mention the stress and hassle of ordering the thing, returning it, waiting for the money to be released upon receipt. If you ask me, I'm already more tempted to just trade in that phone and get a new one, and not even go through the hassle of Apple themselves repairing it. So because Apple released a program that gives you the option to use a tool that you don't need, that shows that right to repair is not a good thing. Like, that shows that makes no sense. That Apple just proved that right to repair isn't always right. That has nothing to do with right to repair. That has to do with the implementation of the program, and it also has to do with your choice in tools. If you don't want $1,300 on your credit card, what you can do is you can use a spudger like the rest of us. I mean, do I have one on my desk? No, I don't, because I haven't repaired shit in a long time. I am out of touch. Yeah, okay, here we go. You can use a spudger like the rest of us. See, I do have something over here. And a blow dryer. You don't have to use their $1,300 tool. So when he says right to repair, not right for everybody, what are you talking about? You don't need these tools to do this job. It's a choice. Again, there are people that do BGA rework with the Skotel IR6000. This thing costs like $400. I have a Zalmau ZMR6200C. That thing costs over $7,500. Now, I got that tool because we were doing so much work at the time that for me to have that tool that increases my efficiency and increases the success rate of what I'm doing even a tiny bit, it made complete sense to me because of the volume my business was processing. That doesn't mean that you need a $7,500 tool to replace a chip on a motherboard. I use it because I find the value in it. Just because you don't find the value in it doesn't mean that right to repair is wrong. But let's suppose that you do have $1,300 sitting on your card and you embark on the self-repair journey. Watching the videos of people attempting the repairs, some more skilled than others, each made me feel like I was watching a thriller, not a repair. So far, nobody managed to make it seem as if it was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Quite the opposite. In fact, it feels just marginally easier than using iFixit tools. Now again, the program made parts available. iFixit does not have the OEM original Apple screen. They don't. They don't have an OEM Apple battery. Apple has them. So, yeah, they made tools available that you don't need to buy, but they also made them available alongside the parts. So you have an option to buy parts. Now, how is right to repair wrong because a company made parts available that were not available before to the average everyday consumer? Makes no sense. Again, you don't need those tools. Now, when he says so far, nobody managed to seem as if it was easy peasy lemon squeezy, that's because most people who are opening these tools and doing videos of it are doing this for the shock factor, for the wow factor. They're opening it up for the first time, and you're seeing somebody use this tool for the first time. The first time that you use a new tool that you've never used before, you're probably going to be a little bit rusty. The same way that when I do a new repair for the first time, it usually comes out pretty horrible because I'm learning as I go. Everybody's first try doing something new is going to be weird. You don't need to use their tool. You can buy their part and then use your own spudger the way 99% of the people that want to do this repair are going to do. Then there's all the missing bits. Oh, you need rubbing alcohol, ESD shielded tweezers, syringe and needle, heat-resistant gloves, all of which are not included in the kit. And let me ask you this. How many regular customers even know what ESD means? I do, but I am not a regular customer. I used to program read-chip motherboards for a living. I honestly don't even know if my tweezers are ESD shielded. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I've been doing this for like almost 15 years. I just... I'm not dealing with chips from the 1970s, and I'm not grabbing them by... if I'm grabbing a QFN package or a BGA package, I'm not grabbing them by the ends. And if I am grabbing a resistor, I'm usually grabbing it by the middle, not the metal ends a lot of the time. But even then, it's just... This is... And again, do you need a syringe and needle? No. Do you need rubbing alcohol? It's maybe, but who doesn't have that in their bathroom? Finally, the instruction manuals. They're great. Don't get me wrong for a second. Yet how many people are actually good at following them? I gifted a tiny Lego set to a 30-year-old friend of mine. She never played with the Lego before, and of course she made at least 3 mistakes, and Lego instructions are pretty darn amazing. I don't read a lot of instructions, to be honest with you. I like to mess around. I like to jump in, try to figure it out on my own, because the manual is always missing something that I need. And it's just, I like to figure it out myself. When I get stuck, go to the manual. That's just something that, like, that's the way that I learn. And this is hysterical. It's like, finally, one of the problems with, again, these are bullet points about the problems with right to repair. The instruction manual is great, yet how many people are going to follow the manual? Like, really? I mean, like, these are the criticisms that we're focusing on here. Those are the criticisms. I get it. I empathize. As someone who used to repair computers for a living, I more than understand it. It's good to have laws that allow things to be repaired, but it's not as black and white as people may want it to be. I hate to make this joke, but this is one of the situations where 50 Shades of Grey doesn't even begin to cover it. The number of broken iPhones that will come out of the self-repair program is probably going to be higher than those fixed. And on the whole, a lot less people will opt for self-repair than activists might hope. It's not because the cause has no merit, but because the right to repair cannot be universally and indiscriminately applied. What does that even mean? It cannot be universally and indiscriminately applied, as opposed to discriminate. So far, every tech reviewer has reached the conclusion: Apple's self-repair kit is not for the average customer. So then don't use it. Buy the original part from Apple so you don't have to worry about whether the eBay battery you get is going to be a piece of shit 3 months after you buy it, and use a fucking spudger like the rest of the world. I will go further and say it's probably not for any customer. The soldering iron is what put bread on my table for a good number of years, and I feel no inclination of taking my iPhone apart. And what does this prove? That just because one is entitled to repair and the tools to repair doesn't mean it's a good and customer-friendly idea. So what is a good and customer-friendly idea? To not give people the option at all? To not make parts available at all? To not make manuals available at all? Like, which is friendlier? Having the option or not having the option? And in what world is having the option less friendly to a consumer? And what does this prove? That just because one... I read that part already. On the other hand, those going against the cause should also not take the Apple example as universal proof that repairing a device is a bad idea. Whether my prediction that eventually we'll get to non-repairable devices anyway, to the extent that nothing will be repaired but recycled and replaced, will turn out to be true or not, what I would urge every activist on either side of the conversation to take a step back and understand the sheer complexity of the topic. This is as nuanced a conversation as one can ever get in tech. I, for one, said it twice. Apple's self-service repair solution is anything but enticing. Okay, I agree. 100%. I agree with that. But to assume that Apple's self-service repair solution is the golden holy grail. I was about to say golden grail or holy goose. It's golden grail and no, it's holy grail golden goose. Holy grail golden goose. Wow. Yeah. Got to get lunch after this. I agree that this program sucks. But to associate this program with right to repair and then say this is why right to repair backfired, no, not even close. So I'm going to go through your comments, see what you all think. Shoe in for state senator. Well, I'll happily, I'll talk to him once this is all done, Michael. Okay, let's see. Do we have good comments? What would you like to see in AST if you could design it from scratch? Basic pass-fail test, give out detailed info? Detailed information would be nice. I I used ASD back in the day. I haven't used AST. You know, who the hell is going to give me access to that shit? Nobody's dumb enough to try and give me access to that. I have a question. If I have an M1 Air and when I open my hinge it sometimes makes noise, should I worry? You should worry because you bought a computer with a soldered-in SSD that has no liquid resistance at all. Worry because of that. Who gives a shit what noises your computer makes when you move it around? You bought a computer with a soldered-in SSD, encrypted drive, with limited repairability. Worry. Worry. Worry nonstop. I was drunk once, spilled beer on my GPU. Should I tell repair guys I don't know what happened or admit that it rained inside? I mean, that's dumb. Like, if you just... What's the point? What's the point of lying about it, you know? They're going to figure it out anyway. Like, they're going to open it, they're going to find the water. It's going to take them longer and make them less interested in figuring out your problem. It's really up to you. And if you tell the truth about what happened, you are going to expedite the place's ability to actually help you and increase their interest in solving your problem versus tossing it in the bin and moving on to something else. So it's really up to whether or not you want, like, what is more valuable to you. You know, the temporary here's the thing. Everybody who runs a store like this, we know that you are careless. Like, we run a liquid damage repair business. We know that you are careless. That's why you're here. There's no point in making fun of you because you being careless is why we have a job. It's why I'm able to buy things like this $8.99 H&M t-shirt. It's why I'm able to buy stuff like this plastic wrapping to cover everything here before I, you know, take care of the person that takes off every single Monday because he gets a hangover every single Sunday morning. That's right. But in all seriousness here, like there's a ESD shielded tweezers. I don't know. Man is comparing a child's toy to a person fixing a $900 device. You call people stupid, the writer of the article. Yeah, like the whole, like, who's going to understand manuals? I don't read the manual until I get stuck on something. Sorry if this has been asked or answered, but are you moving office? I love you, Emily. You're a great mod, but I get asked that like 50 times a day. There's a comment in my last video. I'll copy and paste it somewhere in here. I don't know. I'm sorry. Until I get lunch, I'm not going to want to answer the same thing over and over again. I hope you're doing well with the nursing job in school and all that. But give me any other question. It depends on whether or not in 3 to 6 months I have any money left. That's I don't want to discuss that until that process is over with. Do business with the general public is like doing business with a murder of crows. A bunch of borderline starving psychopaths who are incompetent. I don't get it. Why does the author of this article seem to think he is the ultimate measuring stick for the motivation and skills of the average consumer? At the end of the day, let's say he's correct. I mean, that doesn't actually matter. Because this program does not represent the entirety of what Right to Repair is asking for. If that person is too stupid to be able to fix it themselves, they should still have the option to be able to go to somebody else who can then get the access to the parts and everything they need to be able to do something themselves. The idea that you should rate Right to Repair as a concept solely based on what you got out of a very, very limited program from one company that doesn't really do 90% of what it is we actually needed to do is, in my opinion, silly. Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Are you doing keto or something? Not keto. I just cut out the bread and I cut out pita bread, I cut out beans. I miss beans so much. Oh my God, I love beans, but they bloat you so bad. And I cut out bread, and I cut out, like, if I don't get a wrap, I'll get a salad. I don't get the pita anymore. Those 3 things were very, very intensely helpful. I don't get anything out of eating that stuff. No pizza. I haven't eaten pizza in years. Pizza is shit. Pizza is no good for you. Pizza is garbage. Only have one semester left. Congratulations. I know you were nervous about passing one of your last courses, so I'm happy that that turned out that way. Why doesn't YouTube have a tap reply function? Oh, yeah, and the @ function, that's the thing, Brian Miner. If you're actually using YouTube on mobile, the @ doesn't work. And it gets even better. If you want to copy and paste a comment on mobile or copy and paste something from a comment, it actually, you can't select. It's hysterical. Like, it's so bad. But how long until we can disassemble and 3D print our own chips at home using base material? I'd say probably 2 or 3 generations. Lying sucks. True. Messing up your idiom, slacking on English homework. Same thing as the Samsung and iFixit collaboration. Since it got announced, iFixit stopped restocking S9 batteries right as I was about to buy one. Yeah, the thing that sucks, again, with the Samsung program is A, they're only offering replacement batteries for devices that are newer, where that are not going to need the battery. And 2, they're only selling the battery attached to a screen. The most expensive part to a Samsung phone that most people need to replace is the screen. If I need a battery, I'm not paying $200 or $300 for a screen. F out of here. Again, it's another garbage program. And to be clear, I just want to draw a line in the sand here. It is not a bad program because of Kyle at iFixit. He is one of those people that would stand in front of the White House, for 3 days on a hunger strike just to try to get something passed. That's not because of him. That's all on Samsung. 110% on Samsung. Even Chicago deep dish pizza. Pizza is shit. It's just a pile of dough and bread. It's like no pizza. No pizza. No. It's like a pile of cheese and bread and dough and ugh. Nope. Not for me. It also doesn't taste good enough to me. Most pizzas is not good enough in taste to be worth even if it was healthy for you. But the fact that it's not, no thanks. The drawbacks mentioned aren't even negatives for the customer. As you pointed out, had nothing to do with right to repair. Again, this is the part that kills me here, where it's like, where did I put my window? Like one of these drawbacks is, again, finally the instruction manuals. They're great, but who's actually good at following it? Like, even if the manual is good, it's still not good enough because somebody won't follow it. Like, that's like saying, listen, okay, let's say the schematics Apple released are great. They released schematics, but that's not good because a lot of people are not going to follow. I don't care what other people are going to do. I'll take that schematic and fix something with it. I don't care if 95% of the people that read that schematic go, and give up and throw it away. There's 5% of people that are not going to throw it away, and those 5% that do get it are going to be fixing everything for the 95% of the people that don't understand the manual. It's like, I'm trying to remember the name of this. I know I'm going to get it wrong. I usually get these things wrong. But there's who was it? I forget if it was the Pareto principle or something else, but there's this idea that something like half of the people, was it? Like the square root of the total number of people involved in something are going to produce half of the productive output. So if you have 9 employees, 3 of them are probably responsible for half of the productivity. Like, so if you have 9 employees, 3 of them are responsible for half of the productivity. Whereas if you have 10,000 employees, like 100 of them are responsible for half of your overall productivity. Even if most people don't understand these manuals, even if most people don't understand the schematic, like that 100 that do are going to be fixing everything for that 9,900 that don't. So it doesn't matter if every person will understand a manual. But I also think that that's massively misunderstanding people's ability to read a manual if they want to. People seem to think that right to repair means you must repair devices yourself, like it's a court order. Yeah, and I think that that's the point that's going to try and turn this into a culture war. I think that's, if this winds up being turned into a culture war, the way it's going to happen is they're going to say these people think Like people like Lewis think that you're bad if you don't want to fix your own stuff. And that's the complete opposite. There are a lot of my own devices that I don't fix. And people will ask me, why don't you fix your amp, or why don't you fix that? And I don't fix a lot of my own stuff. The reason is, after I got to work at 12 or 1 in the afternoon and was at work until 3 or 4 in the morning the next day, when I go home, I don't want to fix things anymore. I spend 12 or 14 hours here fixing stuff, so I'm done. I would give that stuff to somebody else to fix, or I would get a new one, and then I would take my old broken device and sell it to somebody that actually does want to get it fixed themselves. And people go, wait, what? Mr. Right to Repair doesn't fix his own stuff? It's like, yeah, because I spend all day fixing shit for other people. But I don't think that it is necessary that you fix your own, 100% necessary that you fix all of your own stuff. It's about having the choice or the option to. And I think that the way that this could get misconstrued in the future to try and get people against right to repair is trying to frame it in this way where people like Lewis look down on you if you don't fix your own stuff. The right to repair community looks down on you if you don't try to, fix your own house fan that you got for $20 at Walmart. And that couldn't be further from the truth, and it's not what we're actually advocating for. We're advocating for you to have the option, or for the people that will do the job for you to be able to have that as an option. You are lucky you enjoy the taste of healthy food. There's small things you can do to make things taste really good that are healthy. And honestly, I think that it's incorrect that things that are good for you are that taste really bad. I've never had that as an experience. You feel that iPhones are a higher risk to be hacked over an Android? You're asking the wrong person. Can't even remotely say I'm qualified to answer that question. Gym gains are solid. What inspired the iron pumping? A toxic chick that I had a crush on 10 years ago that came back into my life for a very short period of time. However, even though this person is out of my life for good, I have not stopped my routine. And I changed up my routine, and I haven't changed back to my old shitty routine, and because I like the results just for me, honestly. I'll take them, but you're lucky. Oh. Do you even have time to fix boards anymore? I don't need to. There are people here that are all better at fixing boards than me. I let them do it. Why are the tech media reviewing the Apple self-repair when they aren't the ones repairing stuff? You repair stuff, people like you should be the ones judging Apple self-repair. I don't think that I should be the primary judge of any of these things. Everybody has the right to share their opinion, and I'm totally fine with everybody sharing their opinion, so long as I'm allowed to share my opinion too. I shared my opinion here, and 165,000 people watched it. So, I can't complain. Again, like I said what I had to say about this program. 165,000 people listen to what I had to say. I'm happy with that. They can comment on what I say. I can comment on what they say. That's the beauty of the modern world. You and Eli have largely replaced my TV consumption. Oh no. That's a responsibility. The fallacies in the article are too cringe to not get triggered. What's the deal with those bags? They're there. Exactly. Author acts like every person who never touched tech is suddenly going to tempt us. No, it's tech nerds who already have some experience. My end goal is to become a Clinton. Any advice on how to get started? You pet a cat named Clinton, but I'm not going to let you do that. Can you speak on the desk ball mouse you're using? It's a trackball. Should I buy the Framework laptop even if it isn't delivered in my country? Why not? If it does what you want it to do, go for it. That's why it's a right, not a commandment. True. Also, hello, Rodrigo. He's been here for like 6 or 7 years. Always like seeing familiar faces. Should CPUs be soldered or socketed? I think socketed is superior as long as they don't change the socket type. I would say socketed on laptops that are bricks, soldered on ultrabooks and smaller machines, because the socket is going to make it a thicker machine. But the thing with the socket is, like, again, if we're talking about a ThinkPad, you know, W520, socket. If we're talking about an X1 carbon, solder it. What's the story of the bags covering the table? There's no story. They don't have a story. People do this all the time. Like, well, I used to get asked this at the apartment. What is the story of that chair? Like, bro, it's a chair. Like, it's a chair. There's no story. There's no story. It's just a chair. Just bag. The numbers are fake. I don't know what numbers you're talking about. They're there? I'm on. I paid $2 to get a real answer. You did, but you asked a dumb question. Like, I don't know what you want from me. It's a fucking cover or covering a table. There's no story. I like, you know, like Pocahontas from a fucking Disney movie didn't come here and run into my office and cover it. I don't know what you want from me. I'm not going to make up a story for $2. What's the phone that seems to be the easiest to fix in your opinion? I think that it's probably the Fairphone, but I don't have a Fairphone in my hands. Just from the fact that a user can replace their battery by sliding the back cover off. That's that. Like, just the fact that you could slide the back cover off of it to replace the battery. But why are they covering the table? To protect the table. Why would you put a plastic covering over something? To protect it. To protect it. Why would you cover something? Why? These questions are retarded. Holy shit. Something good. Come on, we're discussing right to repair here. Would Lewis like to visit Europe in the future and speak on right to repair in front of European Parliament? Maybe. That sounds like a really long trip, though. What's the phone that seems... Isn't the real reason why companies don't release schematics because there's a real threat of Chinese companies, etc., stealing their designs and making clones? What solutions are there? Oh, come on. Like, if we're thinking about this for real, like, if you go to Venafix right now, you could go to Venafix and get a schematic to almost every single MacBook if you pay $5 or $10, or notebook schematics, or there's so many websites, or, you know, Elvacom, there's a bunch of different websites where you can get access to all these schematics. You bet your ass that if they want that schematic, they're going to get it. Like, if that schematic is in use in some factory in China and Xi Jinping wants that schematic, he's getting it. You're not producing shit in China and protecting your intellectual property. There's a different reason that was revealed by the CEO of Framework that actually kind of made some sense to me, but it's not the answer most of you would think, but I'm sworn to secrecy there. So I respect the fact that he doesn't want me to give that reason publicly. I do hope that he's open to talk about it at some point in time. I hope that at some point in time that the CEO of Framework is open to discussing the reasoning publicly. But, you know, I'm sworn to secrecy there. What kind of phone do you currently use? I use an S10e. Yeah, it's over there, S10e. I can plug a microphone into it because it has a headphone jack, and it actually fits in my hand, unlike most of these fucking tablets they sell now that they call phones. And it has a micro SD card slot. It's affordable. I got this thing for like $280 or $290 used. And until somebody makes a phone that has a headphone jack, a micro SD card slot, that SD card slot that fits in my hand, I really have no interest in buying a new phone. I actually bought a bunch of batteries for this phone, and I bought and headphone jacks, because that's usually what I break, because I have a clamp-on microphone that goes into it, so that when the battery dies, I have a storage of batteries here, because I'm not buying another one for a long time. Email sent from a Missouri State Senate candidate. Oh, very cool. His contact information is included if you or your lobbyist is willing to reach out. I'm definitely, Ryan Roden would definitely be interested in reaching out. I'm more than happy to put him in touch with my lobbyist that I have there. Because, like, the last hearing that was in Missouri, it actually hurt my brain. There's a live stream on this channel from a month or a month and a half ago, and it actually, like, it hurt my brain when you heard the questions that they were being asked. It was painful. My God, just answer, please. Dude, the plastic is there to protect the desk. Stop asking stupid shit. Get on with your life. Come on. Why? To protect it. Why? Because I want the desk to be protected. Just go away. Make room for people that ask good questions. Why is my SD card being weird? Probably because you have a PNY. I have a suspicion that manufacturers like Apple are afraid of the liability in selling component-level parts since they're a pain to test before being shipped as opposed to testing and assembly. Partially, I hear that, but one of the other problems... Why do you need to protect it? My chat is retarded. I'm sorry. I'm just going to fucking ignore you all now. Okay, I'm only going to read the good ones. I think the part here is that a big part of it is that they won't allow other companies to do this. So again, if Apple doesn't want the liability of selling specific parts, that's totally fine. But why is it that you try and keep LG from selling me that part? Why is it that you try to keep Intersil from selling me that part? Why do you try to keep Texas Instruments from selling me that part? Why can't it be Intersil's choice whether or not they wish to sell something to me? Why do you have to put something in a contract to actually stop that from happening? Does the plastic on the table make it right to repair friendly? Yes, because it's modular. There's no adhesive on the plastic on the table. There is no adhesive on the plastic on the table. Also, they used to make a noise, and for some reason it doesn't make a noise anymore. Is that because I didn't hook up the sound? Maybe I didn't hook up sound. Oh, I didn't. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, sweet mercy.
There we go. Okay, now I can actually hear it when that happens. This program is more entertaining than repair. Almost anything's more entertaining than repair. Thank you, Sonny. Are you a weights or cardio guy? Both. I mean, you have to do both, in my opinion. Admittedly, I spend a lot less time doing cardio now than I did in the beginning. Like, once I lost 28 pounds, I lost the amount of work that I have to put in to lose the next 10. I'm not willing to sit on an elliptical for like 1 or 2 hours a day anymore. Like, I'm just not. So I did stop with the weight. I stopped losing weight. Oh, there you go. There you go. I'm right now. I'm at 159 pounds, and I want to get to 150. But like going from 188 to 159, I wanted it enough that I was willing to put in an hour to 2 hours of work, just cardio a day, in addition to weightlifting. Going from 159 to 150, I don't want it enough to do that. So I'm really only doing like 15 or 20 minutes a day. Would you support to only allow stuff to be sold if all parts and schematics are made available? So the brand manufacturer would have to ensure repairability from day one.
Oh, sweet mercy.
One sec. Did you see Framework has released the next generation motherboards? Yeah, that's really cool. They released, and the fact that you can also use the motherboard outside of the case is also really cool. So you have so your old motherboard can be used as an actual computer somewhere. That's nice. Thank you, James. Do you think Right to Repair is in a place where it could survive without you at this point? I don't think Right to Repair ever needed me to begin with, honestly. I'm a dude who yells into a camera. I don't need... I think there is no culture for repair, not anymore. I believe people like you can build a new generation on it. People just have to find it interesting. So you just got to find it. You have to find creative ways to get people excited about it. Holding up well, foul known. I have to drive that thing to Florida on Thursday. I'm actually going to be driving down to Florida on Thursday. Be there. Should I buy a new hard drive or stop downloading porn? Go through your collection. There's probably a bunch of stuff that you downloaded that you thought was cool in the moment, but that was actually really low quality, and just kind of purge it. Do a purge. Only keep the best of it. Been 5 days since I drank or smoked, feeling good and proud. Oh, very cool, Lurk. What's more important, parts or schematics? I'm not answering stuff like that. I mean, technically parts, because without a part, the schematic doesn't. No, because then, yeah, because you have Donors. But yeah, a donor counts as a part, though, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, silly question. What kind of plastic is that cover made from? Free-range plastic? Free-range plastic. Are there not other rights in peril? Ah, that is the fallacy of until you solve every other problem in the world, you can't focus on the one that you want to focus on. Yes, definitely.
Oh, sweet mercy.
That's like the person in the room that says, I can't believe you're focusing on the fact that rape is a bad thing when there are people out there getting murdered. I always, there's something despicable about when people will say, why do you focus on this issue when there is also another issue? Speaking of an issue, Oreo? Get out of there, Oreo! Shoo, Oreo! That's not where you're supposed to go. What should be made available first? Schematics, board level components, or chips, or something else? I think the schematic is the easiest one to make available because it's the lowest cost. I mean, it's really the cost of hosting a PDF file. And you only have to host it for a short period before it winds up getting hosted everywhere else. Board level components and chips is going to be difficult. But again, the manufacturer is not going to be the one that's making those available. All I would ask of them is to tell the company that makes that chip that you're allowed to sell it to somebody else. Yes, I'm aware, Shark, that there's more than one problem in the world, obviously. In my opinion, consumer freedom was way better 50 years ago than it is now. We should strive to win what we took for granted then. How so, person whose name is impossible to read? Plastic cover does not protect against cat fur. It protects against the cat jumping on the table and knocking the microscope off the desk. Which Mr. Clinton likes to do. Little fuck. Let's see. How long do you think it would take for other states to pass right to repair law after a state passes it? I don't know. I mean, you have a right to repair law that got passed in Massachusetts, but even though that got passed 10 years ago, you don't see any other states that have done it. Rather, you just kind of have this understanding within the industry that they're going to produce vehicles that are in compliance with the Massachusetts right to repair law from 2012. I don't eat burgers, Dream Next Gen, because a burger has a bun, and a bun is bread, and I don't eat bread anymore. I don't repair graphics cards, person who has no YouTube name, so I don't really know how to... Why do people have dumb YouTube names? Like, you don't even have a name. You literally just have a bunch of underscores. I'm going to stop answering questions if the person's name is stupid. Let's see. I'm betting over there people don't have lobbyists to going to their Congress to fearmonger. Where's over there? Micro SD card in your phone. Did ever one of those flashcards die? Not in my phone. Do you use cloud services for your private pictures and videos? No. Do you have any amateur repair channels you find entertaining? I honestly don't watch much repair on YouTube. There's this one guy who fixes televisions, but I forgot the name. It starts with a C. Samsung is turning into an Apple copycat. I hope there's going to be a roster and repair group for cracked Samsung devices too. I mean, the problem there, Cheedley, is that the parts are insanely expensive, so a lot of the customers wind up calling you a ripoff and saying, I can't believe this, that, and the other. So it's not something, like, it's not something that we do because there's not a lot of profit in it, but particularly, not only is there not a lot of profit in it, but all the people who called and think that your goal is to rip them off, and it winds up being a really bad experience for the person answering the phone, and also for you because you're doing a repair with a really low profit margin. Also, think about it. If you're doing a repair where like the screen is $20 and the repair is $80, if they break it again and they say it broke on its own, blah, 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 you could go back and forth all day, but there's some room there to be able to help them because the $20 part, $80 repair. But when the screen is like $300 and the phone is worth $320 on the used market, there's really not a lot of wiggle room there. I just answered your question, Seditionalist. That's not fair. That's not fair. You asked a question and I answered it. Oh, that's not fair. Yeah. But seriously, I did a college presentation on your business and fight for right to repair. I had a room of normally uninterested college kids eating out of my hand. It was a good fight. People care about this stuff. That's my main goal. Yeah, Shango66, that's the one. He does some old television repair. I find that very interesting, even though I'm never going to do that. But yeah, my hope is to get the next generation involved and excited, because the next generation are going to be the people that start the new companies that wind up producing devices that are repairable, or the people that once they start working at these companies are going to look and go, okay, do we really need to keep people from being able to buy this chip? Or like, is the releasing of this PDF really going to kill us? Like the next generation en masse all coming in and realizing that the way it's kind of like with marijuana, you know, like when the next generation of district attorneys come in, the district attorneys that grew up with people in high school that were high all the time, that were at work were, would be smoking a joint in the stairwell or something. They know their friends weren't all horrible criminals. So when they have 5 cases on their desk and they only have time for 4, and one of those cases is a dude who sold a dime back to somebody, it's just going to wind up going in a paper shredder. Like that's how change happens. Oh, the shit YouTube names. I still mispronounce your name. It's been 4 years of mispronouncing your name, Seditionalist. I still don't know how to say that. I probably never will. I also did a college presentation. Very cool. I did a presentation on right to repair and people still don't care. That's because you don't have a name that makes any sense. Your name is just a bunch of backwards ends. I don't know how to read that. But it's kind of, this reminds me of that Bill Burr skit. Anybody ever see that Bill Burr skit where he says something along the lines of, he's like, Arnold Schwarzenegger comes to America, becomes famous for lifting weights. I lift weights. Nobody gives a shit. Bill Burr is amazing. He is by far one of the best comedians on earth. I like George Carlin, but he's a little too nihilistic to me. How do I understand board repair? You watch the 600 plus board repair videos that is in this channel after watching the Introduction to Electronics playlist, Basic Electronics playlist, after reading through the 150-page guide that is in the description of this video. What do you think of right to own? I don't know what that means. I think if inflation keeps up, the interest in fixing things will be much higher, since replacement will be notably higher than repair. But see, this is the thing. Inflation is really, it's not affecting this type of stuff. Like, look at the price of a smartphone, you know? Like, you could still buy a Moto G for under $200. You could still buy a MacBook for like $1,000. When you look at the price of a lot of technology, that's not what's going. The prices are going up on things like housing, rent, food. The prices are not going up and stuff like this. So here's the way this works. A MacBook costs $1,000, right? So I can only charge a percentage of what that MacBook costs to fix it. Now, if all of my employees have their costs going up, yet the product still costs the same amount to buy at Apple, I can't raise the price of my services anymore. I can't raise the price of my services. I can't pay them more money. I can't pay them more money. They quit. They quit. No more business. So if anything, if tech prices do not inflate while everything else is inflating, this could actually wind up hurting repair, because it means that repair will be less viable. And again, as long as the baseline price for a laptop, for a smartphone, for many other types of devices that we use doesn't go up, but the price of all the other goods and services that we use go up, it could actually wind up being a headwind for repair, not a tailwind. Is right to own the opposite of the subscription business model? That could be, but I wanted him to expand a little bit on it, had he. I imagine it means the right to own means just not this constant subscribe to everything thing. I like Final Fantasy IX. That game, Neurelden, is, I think it's a thesis against nihilism in the best way. How does inflation not affect Apple? You have to ask Tim Cook, but I don't see a MacBook going up in price anywhere. Timo, yeah, Discord is here. Yeah, I posted a link for you, Timo. Timo. Did you bang Schwarzenegger's housemaid, though? Hell no. I Googled it just to see, okay, listen, like he cheated on his wife. It's not right, but let's see who he cheated with. And I was like, whatever. It made him happy. That's all that matters. Made him happy. What's wrong with nihilism? Everything. The idea that there is no point to anything tends to be congruent with people that don't strive for anything, that don't try to build anything, become the best at anything, produce anything. And that tends to also be walk alongside people being massively unhappy. Yeah, like not caring to change anything. It's just, there's so many things that A, should be changed, B, are worth trying to change, C, would make you happy to be a part of changing. Seems like ownership is being discouraged and sharing renting is being encouraged. And software services like cloud, but also physical things like cars or homes. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, like with stuff, like some of the software that I use, for instance, I use a piece of software called Repair Shopper, which is really cool, but it has a monthly fee. And the owner, Troy, amazing dude, a very, very good programmer, liked to use, he would be very responsive to a lot of the issues that we had. The company just got sold. So now I'm seeing the responsiveness that we get from that company after it's been sold. And now I'm kind of wondering, okay, well, why am I paying a monthly fee for this anymore? Because like before, I could bother the owner. He would add features, make it, I would get a certain level of support from it. And now, yeah, like you respond to my ticket over a week late, maybe I'll find it doesn't really make sense anymore. Lewis, repairing a device is not purely an economic decision. I'll pay a premium to refurbish a device I'm comfortable with to avoid learning something new, and even a greater premium for data recovery repair. Yeah, data recovery was always going to be in demand because people will never stop being careless with data, including me. And when it comes to refurbishing a device you're comfortable with, that's weird because like I try to push people away from it because when you tell somebody it's going to cost $200 to fix something that costs $150, their immediate assumption, even if they don't say it in the moment, is he just tried to rip me off because that device is $150. He tried to charge me $200. They walk out the door leaving a 1-star Yelp review. So this is literally part of our training manual here because I've had enough experience with this in here and in other repair shops where you need to open with, just so you know, you shouldn't fix this because the cost to replace this is less than the cost of buying another one. Also, it's not even about learning something new. It's if you can buy that device on the used marketplace for less than what the repair costs. I think it's always yeah, you know what? I'll say outside of sentimental value, in my opinion, it's always an economic decision. Outside of sentimental value. If you have a device that you can buy for $150 on an online store and have delivered to you in 2 days, and you're paying $200 to fix it, that's never going to make any sense. Do you think you could somehow convince Blair White to promote right to repair, even if just a virtue signal diversity a bit or even just for the meme? What's a Blair White? I don't know who that is. I don't think, let's see. Data recovery services will always have a role in the computer repair market because humans have consistently shown that despite many different technologies to back up data, people will fail to do it. True. When will cars be subscriptions? Give it time. Give it time. I genuinely hate how everything is moving to a subscription-based model. I genuinely can't think of a single instance where I receive better service, support, or a good justification for having to pay more. Yeah. Okay, I'm out of here. I went over the article. If I find another article that I find worth going over, I will make another video. I linked that Discord down below, so if anybody is interested in pointing me to more of these articles covering why right to repair is bad or horrible or probably something that you shouldn't bother with and all this other shit just because Apple's program sucks, please feel free to post them if you find them interesting, along with some comments. And sorry I answer that question 5 times a day. I give up. I give up. You win. You win. I give up.